The road to SummerSlam in Minneapolis is officially underway, but after Night of Champions, I think WWE may have made its biggest booking mistake of the year. We have Brock Lesnar versus Oba Femi inside Hell in a Cell, Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, and Io Sky versus Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship. On paper, all of these matches sound like marquee SummerSlam matchups, right? But here's the problem. If WWE was planning to go in this direction, then what was the point of the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments? Did WWE just make the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments meaningless? We're going to talk about it, and we're going to break down why. We will also be recapping what happened at Night of Champions. Outside of two correct creative decisions, the show itself was not good. And now, WWE is going to be setting themselves up for unnecessary creative problems going forward for the rest of the year. And then on the AEW side, the road to All In at Wembley Stadium is also heating up. Forbidden Door, although it delivered on stellar in-ring, the show itself felt bloated. And did it overstay its welcome? I think so. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about the directions for the rest of the roster going into Wembley Stadium as well. Without further ado, let's get straight to it.
Summon the Spectre.
What's good, y'all? Welcome to episode 24 of the SpectreVerse Podcast. I'm your host, JariSpectre, and like I said in the intro, we have a lot to talk about. We had two big shows over this past weekend, and we are going to talk about the creative outcomes, the matches themselves, and then also what it's going to look like going forward into the build for SummerSlam. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all social medias. They'll be in the description below. Without further ado, let's go ahead and let's start with what happened at Night of Champions. The show itself was not premium. This is very much a reoccurring theme that we've been seeing with WWE PLEs for the past, couple months. The shows themselves are lackluster. They felt lackluster. They are lackluster. There is no way to sugarcoat it. We had Oba Femi and Jey Uso to start the show. And we talked about this at a nauseating rate, so I'm going to try and keep this as short and sweet as humanly possible. Whoever thinks Jey Uso is a main event wrestler, they are fucking delusional. We said it. The whole world can see it. My eyes can see it, and I'm a pro wrestler. He is a great tag team wrestler. He is not a main event wrestler. Regardless of how you feel about him, there's no disrespect there. It's just, it is what it is. Oba Femi pretty much dominated this match outside of letting him get a bunch of super kicks in and a bunch of splashes in. And the rest of it was history. Oba Femi wins the King of the Ring tournament. And then after their match, he cut a promo saying that he is the ruler, the destroyer, the conqueror of worlds, mountain you can't climb, all of the little catchphrases that he has for himself, those little monikers, and that he also briefly called himself the Beast Slayer. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit once we touch upon what happened on Monday. The next match we had was the Queen of the Ring final. We had Liv Morgan versus Io Sky. We talked about this last week. Liv Morgan being in this tournament honestly ruined this tournament. At least in my eyes. Not that she's a bad wrestler, because I don't think she is. But goddamn, the creative to have the champion in a tournament to crown the number one contender for the championship makes zero fucking sense. None. You can tell me different all you want. It's just going to go over deaf ears. That creative decision ruined the Queen of the Ring tournament. Io Sky ended up winning the match. Nobody in Saudi Arabia gave a flying fuck about this match whatsoever. And then immediately after the match, Io cuts a promo and challenges Liv Morgan to a match at SummerSlam, which, rightfully so, if you are the person that is winning the number one contendership for the title, you're going to go after the champion. And obviously, with Rhea Ripley on the other side, being the other champion, one, she's injured, and we don't know the severity of the injury. And two, Io and Rhea are friends. The WWE is not going to be secretive about that. Why would she go after her friend? No, she's going to be the true babyface and go after the heel who she just beat. So anybody that was thinking we were going to get Io and Rhea, I don't know what the fuck you were on, but you're wrong. Steel cage match. Braun Breaker versus Seth Rollins. This match was actually pretty solid. And it started very slow, but as the match progressed, the pace started to pick up and everything started smoothing out and really hitting all the beats that it needed to. But at the end of it, Braun Breaker went through a table, attempting a spear in the corner, and Seth Rollins sidestepped him. Curb stomp, pedigree, and then a giant curb stomp off the second rope for the 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins beats Braun Breaker inside of the steel cage, and now all eyes are locked in on Roman Reigns. United States Championship. Trick Williams versus Ricky Saints. Nobody in Saudi Arabia gave a flying fuck about this match. Sadly, but because I love both of these guys, but this crowd did not do them justice, and neither did WWE and their booking and creative decisions. They did not give them any justice either. Trick Williams ended up winning. I don't think this was a surprise to anybody. Ricky Saints does look great, though, even in a loss. I just hope that they have some sort of direction for him and for Trick going into SummerSlam. The Women's United States Championship, Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill. We talked about this last week in our prediction video. I said I was not 100% sure on having Tiffany Stratton carry a match with Jade Cargill. And part of that was, one, Jade is not a good wrestler. And two, Tiffany is too young to be able to fully carry a match like that by herself. Granted, she is very, very good, but at the same time, you can only do so much when you're carrying somebody. Trust me, I know. I've done that numerous times for people who don't fucking deserve it. But either way, Charlotte and the baddies ended up getting involved in this match. Charlotte ended up helping Tiffany Stratton retain the title, which is now going to set up Jade Cargill versus Charlotte Flair at SummerSlam. It's obviously not announced yet, but this is the direction they're clearly going for. They need another women's marquee matchup. There you go. Now the question is, will Charlotte Flair be able to carry Jade Cargill? And if she can, does that put a little feather in that cap for Charlotte Flair? Because obviously she has a lot of haters, but let's be real. She is very, very good in the ring. Although people are sick of seeing her, I get it. But at the same time, she can carry herself in the ring. She is very, very solid. And then in the main event, we had the undisputed WWE Championship triple threat match. We had Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, and Gunther. This match was very, very solid. All three of the guys absolutely killed it. And the shocker of the night was Sami Zayn winning the WWE Championship for the first time. And I remember commentary was not shy of the stat at all. This was Sami Zayn's 10th attempt at the WWE Championship. And he finally won it after being in the company for 13 years. Now, let's just go ahead and let's talk about this right away. The Sami Zayn hate, because I did see a lot of people online were pissed that Sami Zayn won the title. Let's, if we put his career into a full perspective, the man on the indies was El Generico, and he was killing it in Ring of Honor, PWG, wherever he was. He gets signed by WWE for being as good as he is. He becomes the underdog, almost like a Daniel Bryan in a sense, down in Black and Gold NXT. You remember those fun days? And then Kevin Owens, after Sami Zayn wins his first NXT championship, Kevin Owens debuts and powerbombs him on the apron. Such a good fucking moment. That was when I was going back and watching Black and Gold and kind of catching myself back up on wrestling during that time. Chef's kiss. It was so, so good. And then you watch his career as he went to the main roster. It kind of had its highs, its lows. Vince McMahon wanted to turn him heel, and he did his conspiracy theory stuff, and it got it over for the most part. And then he hit the highest of highs that he's ever hit. And granted, he won Intercontinental Championship. He won the Tag Team Championship. He won the United States Championship. But the highest of highs that he had was his stuff back in 2022 with the Honorary Uce. When he was a part of the Bloodline, which was a mistake, by the way, it just happened. That was some of the best storytelling and the best television WWE has done in years. Years. I don't know why WWE just can never consistently build on the years of greatness and stories that they tell. They always will just hit it perfectly for 1 year. The next year, take a shit. The year after that, take a shit. Same thing. Same thing. Oh, we're going to try this year, and it's going to be awesome. And then coast. It just doesn't make sense to me. Why not try to hit it consistently, or at least try to match it or one-up it? That part just never made sense to me. And then we got the babyface turn. When Roman Reigns was telling him, hit Kevin Owens with a steel chair at the Royal Rumble. You guys remember it. One of the biggest pops I think I've ever heard. When Sami Zayn swung that steel chair and it hit Roman right in the back. That place erupted. It went bonkers. And then it led us to the main event of WrestleMania that year. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos. And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in the tag team title match. The main event of night one. They won the championship. They won the championships. The year after that, Sami Zayn dethrones Gunther in his 666-day title reign as the Intercontinental Champion. You guys remember that? Granted, when I was watching it back then, I thought Gunther should have beat Sami. I saw the agenda. I saw what they were trying to do. So I wasn't really a huge fan of it. But looking back at it, I was wrong. That was a good story. And especially where we're at now, it makes it all that much sweeter. But either way, I'm very, very happy for Sami. I know a lot of people hate Sami for one reason or another. Personally, I'm very proud of him. That is the definition of hard work paying off. So kudos to him. Shout out to Sami Zayn. He deserves his flowers. And especially considering that age group of wrestlers right now, you never know when somebody's going to be ready to hang up the boots. And might as well give the flowers to them now versus when it's too late. The Night of Champions PLE felt completely flat. Every match felt flat in some way, shape, or form. And the creative decisions, looking back at it, also, none of them make a whole lot of sense. And we're going to talk about that right now, because we're going to talk about what happened on Monday for Raw. The show started with Oba Femi in the ring, and he was pretty much just saying how he deserves the King of the Ring, and now he gets to pick his opponent for SummerSlam, but out comes Brock Lesnar. I know a lot of us were questioning when we would see Brock. A lot of people said we'll see him at Night of Champions. I was in that boat and that camp as well. Some people said we should have seen him in Baltimore 2 weeks ago. I can also see that as well. But Brock Lesnar made his appearance tonight, and he congratulated Oba and then kicked him in the balls and gave him an F5. And Oba Femi said, "I will see you at SummerSlam." And then Brock said, "Under one condition, Hell in a Cell." Which we're like, oh shit, here we go. Brock Lesnar versus Oba Femi, Hell in a Cell. We're finally getting the trilogy, which is great. But here's the problem. We could have gotten to the scenario way easier. And it would have saved the logic gaps. It would have saved everybody's time. Because now everybody's time feels wasted, including myself. Why would you have Oba Femi win the King of the Ring tournament, which the tournament is a number one contendership at SummerSlam? That was specified. Why would you give the tournament to Oba Femi if he is now not going to challenge a championship at SummerSlam? It doesn't make fucking sense. None of it does. Why not have Braun Breaker versus Oba Femi in the semifinals of the King of the Ring and have Brock Lesnar in some way, shape, or form cost Oba Femi? Why not have Braun Breaker beat him because of that? Which now gives him a justified reason to challenge Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. But instead, now we got Oba Femi winning the King of the Ring tournament, putting that number one contendership on the back burner so he can deal with Brock Lesnar. Because they don't want to double book Oba Femi. Which I get why they don't want to do that. We talked about this on this podcast. But what did you do to everybody else because of it? You made them look like shit. Because you are too afraid to book two young guys against each other. A future WrestleMania main event. 10 times over. But because you wanted to play it safe, now this is what you get. And looking back at it, we set our predictions here. It should have been Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker for the King of the Ring final. And we talked about all the different scenarios that we could get here. We did not need to see Jey Uso in the finals. For obvious reasons. I'm not going to go back over them again. But now, look at what we've done. We had Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker blow off their feud, which felt very underwhelming. The match itself was good, but the story, once again, felt underwhelming. When realistically, that steel cage match should have been the King of the Ring final. Then you have Seth Rollins beat Braun Breaker to become the King of the Ring, so now he has a chance to challenge Roman Reigns. Obviously, you still got to that point, but it would have made more sense. It was staring at you right in the face, and you just ignored it. And now Braun Breaker is going to have some sort of storyline with the Vision, obviously, because I know the plan is to get Braun Breaker away from the Vision. He doesn't need them anymore. They need him way more than he needs them. And honestly, me personally, I think Braun Breaker's a better babyface. He's got that killer instinct and people like him. You can't help it if somebody likes you. You can't. It's the inevitable. Either way, watching this unfold in real time, I just kept thinking to myself, what the fuck are we doing? The whole time, what the fuck are we doing? And honestly, I don't even want to really touch upon all the things that really happened on Monday Night Raw. So let's just jump right to the next big talking point, and that was the main event, where we had Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. Roman comes out, tells the crowd to acknowledge him. He gets interrupted by Seth, and Seth pretty much says, we've had this song and dance so many times. And obviously we're both getting up there in age. But the one thing you haven't done is beaten me. So why not? Let's try it at SummerSlam. The story itself, it's got some history. It's got plenty of history to draw back from. Obviously, the story that Roman Reigns has never pinned Seth Rollins ever. But the fact that Roman has never pinned Seth Rollins in that ring, now it's already setting up the story. The history is there, written right in your face. The Shield, all the matches they had prior to, that both guys have been in the WWE for years, for well over a decade now. The story, it's there, but man, it could have been done so much better just by having Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker as your final. And then you can have Brock Lesnar and Oba Femi inside Hell in a Cell. But the fact that we had to do a very roundabout way to get there, it just ruins everything. It just ruins all the stories, the logic, all of it is just out the window. And then on top of that, hearing the spoilers for what is going on with SmackDown and how Cody Rhodes is going to now be challenging Sami Zayn for the title next week, Monday on Raw. That is terrible. I get it. We need to get CM Punk into the SummerSlam card in some way, shape, or form. But goddamn, can we give Sami Zayn at least a little bit of a title reign instead of having him hold it for a week? Because let's be real. This is WWE we're talking about. All they're going to do is they're going to go into Monday Night Raw next week. Cody Rhodes versus Sami Zayn for the title. Cody's going to win. Out comes CM Punk. There's your SummerSlam matchup for the WWE Championship. I'm already predicting it and calling it now. What they should do is have Sami Zayn retain against Cody Rhodes because of CM Punk's involvement. Now you can have a marquee one-on-one matchup between Cody and CM Punk. And then that you can let marinate. You can have this story created at SummerSlam so that it can pay off in 6 more months at WrestleMania. And that's where you can do it for the WWE Championship. Will WWE do that? No, because they get their rocks off on blowing these big marquee matches way too soon. And that's enough for the WWE side. Let's talk about what happened at Forbidden Door on Sunday. We had a 3-way match between the Bucks, Unbound Company, and El Sky team, which the Bucks ended up winning, and they stole the victory. Honestly, could care less. Kenny Omega versus Zack Sabre Jr. This match was actually very, very good, but goddamn, it went way too long. They could have cut out at least 10 minutes of this match, and it still would have done the exact same reaction as it gotten. Because let's be real, it was a very, very good match. But holy shit, when you have the first 2 matches take forever, you know you're going to be in for a long day. And that's essentially what the Forbidden Door was. It was a very, very long pay-per-view, and it did not have to be that long. Continental Championship, we had Moxley versus Bandito. This was very violent, and it was very, very, very good. Moxley ended up retaining the title. I think he's going to drop it at All In, to who I'm not 100% sure yet. The IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship, we had Shota Umino versus Pac. This match was actually very, very good. Although it was kind of like that down period of the pay-per-view, it was still very, very solid. And obviously, you know Pac is not going to win an IWGP title. So Shota Umino ended up retaining the championship. It was very, very good, though. Tekla versus Starlight Kid. This match was actually very solid, too. And Tekla absolutely killed it out there. She is, like I said, she's been on a fucking tear. So kudos to her. But Tekla ended up retaining the championship, obviously, because we're not going to put the title, an AEW title, on a Stardom wrestler. It's just not going to happen. AEW Tag Team Championships, Christian Cage and Cope versus the Dogs. This was a very hard-hitting match, but the Dogs ended up losing, and Christian Cage and Cope ended up retaining the titles due to an interference by a returning Jay White. Yes, Jay White made his return. It was awesome. We love Jay White here. And although he is vastly underrated and overlooked on the AEW roster, I think having him back in that lineup is going to do wonders for him. Women's Owen Hart Foundation Tournament Final, we had Mercedes versus Maya World. This match was fucking awesome. I was actually shocked on how well this turned out. Mercedes ended up winning, obviously, but my God, Maya World, for somebody who was not supposed to be in the tournament, making it as far as she did and absolutely killing it every step of the way, she deserves all the praise in the world. And shout out to Mercedes as well for not wrestling for God knows how long and just coming back on a tear. You love to see it. As a performer, you love to see this shit. 12-man steel cage match. I'm not going to read through everybody's names. It was Team Mark Briscoe versus Team MJF. Andrade ended up turning face during this match, and he turned on Team MJF. Thankfully, we finally get the wheels rolling with that. And Team Briscoe ended up winning. I did love the fact that it was like a circular steel cage. I thought that looked awesome. And I believe they called the match stipulation the Devil's Door, which also hell of a fucking name. I love that. But Team Briscoe wins, obviously. MJF is going to fight Briscoe sometime here in the coming weeks. And then the men's Owen Hart Cup tournament. Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland. Needless to say, this match was fucking fantastic. It was so good. However, I know a lot of people were saying it ran super, super late. I obviously watched it the next day just because I knew it was going to be a long pay-per-view. And honestly, just thinking about it now, I get everybody's gripes about these matches being as long as they are. I know when you're watching it live, like that's kind of that mindset where you want to have it within a certain window. And yes, I will be completely honest, watching that match, there were things that I had gripes about. Obviously, if you guys know me, I hate the kicking out at 1. I think it's overdone. I think it's stupid, and I think it buries the match itself. And also the no selling. Sometimes no selling in wrestling is a good thing, and it can work. And then there's other times where it is just downright terrible. This one, I was a little iffy on, but honestly, I did think it worked. But Swerve and Will Ospreay, like they said in their promo, they put the standard on what a main event should look like. Did it have to necessarily match that? No. But needless to say, both men absolutely killed it out there. There's no doubt in my mind that Swerve Strickland's going to be just fine. And Will Ospreay is now headed to the main event of Wembley Stadium at All In against MJF. That match, once again, is going to be fucking bonkers. And honestly, this might be our shortest episode yet. There really wasn't a whole lot of talking points other than Triple H telling the fans to not take wrestling so seriously. Here's my 2 cents on it. Is WWE supposed to be entertainment? Yes. Should the fans take things seriously? Yeah, they should. Granted, there can be comedy, there can be entertainment, there can be seriousness, but as long as everything makes sense in the stories that you're telling, you wouldn't have a fucking complaint in the world. But because there are these logic gaps and these roundabout ways of telling stories, you guys do that strictly just because you don't want the online community proving themselves right. That's why you do it. But in return, you are hurting your overall product. And that's not a good look. Those are just my quick 2 cents on it. I'm sorry, you guys. This is not going to be a very long episode. It is 95 degrees outside, and I don't have any air conditioning. And I'm already feeling fucking fatigued. It is what it is. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed the quick little recap of Night of Champions, Forbidden Door, and Monday Night Raw. Maybe we'll touch upon it here in the next couple of weeks. But at the same time, maybe I'll also talk about it when I go live Thursday afternoon when I'm playing some Apex Legends. We'll touch upon some more things that I might have missed, as well as talking about some of the things that happened in sports, like Chris Johnson announcing that he has ALS, LeBron leaving the Lakers, Kawhi getting traded to the Raptors, and John Morant going to the Trailblazers. We're going to talk about all of that fun stuff Thursday, so you guys don't want to miss that. It's going to be awesome. And if you guys did enjoy this quick little recap, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell for all notifications. You guys can follow me on all social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at JariSpectre. And you guys can also follow the SpectreVerse page on Facebook as well at the SpectreVerse. And until episode 25, we will see you guys next time. Peace out.
Summon the Spectre.